Pop it! My name is Richie and today we are actually back with the updates in Fortnite Creative. So we have update 27.00, the OG season with a bunch of stuff to creative. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, so let's get right into it, but before we start with the crazy new stuff that we got, let's jump into a couple of small things which we got as well. Which starting out first by not this patchwork tool, this is actually part of the music stuff. But the submachine gun and the suppressed assault rifle were added to the game. Obviously, these are not new guns. These are obviously very old guns. And they're now in creative. Probably one of the few missing ones that we do not have in creative yet. Nothing crazy, nothing special here. There's also, but we did not only get the new guns, we also have some updates to all the galleries, especially one gallery, which is the... I think it's called Spooky Prop Gallery B, where we have these new trees here. And the FNCS trophy also got a little update. It looks a little bit more shiny, I guess. The new patchwork update, which basically is music production in its fullest in creative and is actually working for both. So it's not only Uefn, it's not only creative normal, it is actually working for both and it works pretty well. The times are long gone where we have to use these with sequencers. You can now actually create music with actual properly added music tools, which I'm not a music producer, so I don't know what half of these are doing, but I can explain you how you can use them to a certain extent and basically how this whole system works. The most important part is, you can probably see it already down here, is this music patchwork tool. You can find this under your weapons, so if you look here, it's probably the first one, it's called the patchwork tool. And this is not some new crazy weapon. This is actually there for your music devices here. So you can see, you can, for example, grab these wires around with these if you touch them. Don't be scared of them yet. I know it looks like a lot, and it is a lot if you really want to create really good and cool music. But to create simple music, you don't have to go all out on these. And furthermore, you can also touch the devices, basically control them with this whole thing here. So you basically don't have to go into the device and then change settings in here, which is super annoying. You can actually use these to control these. So let's actually take this device over here, which is a sequencer. So we all know and love it from before, just a little bit more, better advanced, you can say, and we scroll it out. So these are here, like basically there's certain levels to it, so to make it like look a little bit more cleaner, but we can like fully scroll it out. And now we can see that we have a sequence of notes that play and loop basically. So now that we have this scrolled out, this is basically the exact same thing as we had over here. So this is where we had our notes and then we let it play to the sequencer and then it did notes. But here it basically is the first step. So we start here, we have our notes. It doesn't do anything right now because we have not anything attached to it. It just plays the notes, but there's no instrument, there's no speaker that can play it. We can change obviously the speed of it, we can do a lot of things, but we're just gonna keep it at the default to make it to keep it simple. All right, so now that we have a sequence of notes here, we see that we need a yellow plug. So we need something where we can plug this in. It obviously doesn't work for another sequencer because we already have a sequencer. We could plug this in the D play here, or we can use this one over here. But in my case, I want to use this one, which is the I play, which does stand for instrument play. And if we quickly go here and actually plug them out a little bit, we can see that we can choose different instruments, the piano, the flute. So we're gonna take this, drag it over here to our sequencer. And now we can go with our tool here, make sure that we actually catch this and plug it in here. It works perfectly fine. Now it still doesn't play any sound, right? It plays a sequence, but it doesn't play any sounds. Let's actually make this a little bit slower. And we can see that we want to use, let's say, the piano to make it simple. So now we can see that we have a sequence of notes which is playing and it's plugged into our piano. Now the last thing we need is basically something that can actually give out the sound. And what would be obviously the best is speaker. So there's multiple things where we can plug this in. Like for example, we can also like add different sounds effect to it and then plug it into a speaker. But in our case, we just go over here. We're just going to go over to the patchwork speaker here. We're going to grab it with our normal creative tool and we're going to let it down here. So this works the same way as well. So we can go here, make this bigger. We can even adjust the volume here. So I'll make this a little bit louder so you hear it in the video. And now all we have to do is plug this in. And now we hear a sound. This is obviously not the most beautiful piano symphony, but we can also randomize. Maybe that gets better. Not really, but now you basically understand how this works. So basically this works the exact same way as I did before with the sequencers and these notes, But now you can obviously have a lot more variety, and you can basically plug in whatever you want. You can change the piano to flute and it instantly changes. It is not beautiful. Yeah, I'm not a music producer, but this is the basic concept and how this works, and it is absolutely fantastic. I think you should just play around with it and have fun, create your own music, and some of you guys maybe turn into Fortnite music producers. Before we come to the end, there's also something Uefn basically exclusive, or just some learning resources on the Uefn website. So it's not really exclusive for Uefn, but you can only get these islands in Uefn. The first one is how you do lighting basically in Uefn, or like some proper examples, how you can do them and how they should look like. It's really cool. You can check out the link on the website. And there's also another one which goes a little bit more into the post-process volume, so how you can actually make the feeling of the light that is in your islands make a lot more realistic, or depending on the scenario that you have, look a lot nicer. So they give you basically different scenarios and how they can look like. Also make sure that if you are doing these, that you're always on high settings here, because if you do this on medium, then they will basically look like this. So they basically give you a few examples and also explain how these examples should work on their website. I think it's really cool, especially if you have never touched the post-processing volume before, or just general if you're struggling with lighting. So make sure to check these out. These are though Uefn only or on their website. So that wraps up with the update. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys back in the next one.